Oh my God. Aston Villa fans, we have been waiting our entire lives for a team that can do the things that we are witnessing right now. Oh my goodness. We went to Tottenham a week and a half ago and we laid the smackdown on the media darling of Ange Ball and beat it 2-1. And it could have been 3 or 4. Then 4 days later, we played Lechia Warsaw, laid the smackdown on their hooligan fans who went home crying or sat back in Birmingham in jail and beat them 2-1. 3 days later, we went to Bournemouth away, got a last-minute equaliser through Ollie Watkins with an incredible header, 2-2. And what have Bournemouth done since? Gone to Crystal Palace and won 1-0 and gone up to Old Trafford and won 3-0. And then 3 days later, we had to play Manchester City, the best team in Europe, just won the treble. And what did we do? We absolutely rock-bottomed people's elbows, did the whole thing, beat them 1-0, and it could have been 3 or 4. 3 days after that, bearing in mind the pure, incredible amount of physicality we have had to put into our game in the last week and a half, 3 days after that, we play Arsenal, top of the table Arsenal, and we just walked out of that game. Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. 15 games in a row won at home. If any of you watched WCW wrestling back in the day, Bill Goldberg went on a 100 match winning streak. Aston Villa are currently the Bill Goldberg. Who's next? Hashtag who's next? I am having to compose myself here because this is 30 years of hurt all coming together at once in disbelief that Professor Unai has done this. Because even though we keep winning, there's always a part of me that says, all right, we just beat Fulham. All right, we just beat Brighton. All right, we just beat, I don't know, Brentford at home or something. And I'm kind of thinking like, all right, we're getting the job done there against teams who might come and defend against us. But what's going to happen when we have to play teams who take it to us? What's going to happen when we take it to teams who take it to us? Teams like Manchester City and Arsenal. And I'm thinking that might be the moment that we have to, we learn a lesson, we come away from it, we grow as a team. Instead, feck me. Newcastle turned up in the form of their lives and we absolutely battered those dickheads 3-0. Man City turned up, not in the best form, few injuries, and we destroyed them 1-0. Brighton turned up a few weeks ago, again, the media darlings, 6-1. And tonight, Arsenal turned up, who are in great form, who've been pulling out last-minute winners, who are the best away team on paper away from home, and we just beat them 1-0. As Bob Marley said, Jamaica's own, and I'm co-writing this with a fellow Villa fan whose name has slipped me, but I will credit this guy. He commented the other day on a Villa video. I'm very sorry I've forgotten his name just off the top of my head, but I will put this into a next video. I promise you, because I don't want to take full credit. It's a co-writing. It's Paul McCartney and John Lennon. As Bob Marley once said, don't worry about a thing. Leon Bailey is playing on the wing. Because honestly, I cried. Because we were losing 1-0 against Sheffield Wednesday on our first day in the Championship barely any years ago. We were comically cheering winning a corner at Watford away about 7 years ago. We barely stayed up with the last kick of the game against West Ham away thanks to Jack Grealish scoring that goal 3 years ago. Now we're a team who wins 15 games in a row at home. Now we're a team who beats Man City and Arsenal, the two most powerful teams in the league, 3 days apart. Who the hell in the world football could repeat that feat? Absolutely nobody. The only other team you think maybe could do it is Liverpool at home, Anfield. And even then, I don't think they'd do it. And Liverpool are currently our title rivals. We are in December 9th. December 9th, we're second. We are second in the Premier fucking League. I mean, well, we're third. All right, okay, sorry. Carried away myself. We're third. But Villa on 35, Arsenal 36, Liverpool 37. We're 5 points clear of Manchester City. Pep Guardiola's in a darkened room pulling out the last remaining hair on his head. Jurgen Klopp sat there pulling his teeth out. That big grin he's got, taking his teeth out and throwing it away because he's like, how do I stop Hurricane Villa? Mikel Arteta stormed off with like a minute to go tonight. And he sat in a dark room on the phone to Pep Guardiola going, what do we do? And Pep Guardiola's going, they're so good. They're so good. They're so good. I mean, look, let me tell you what tonight was like. Against Manchester City, we dominated, right? And I think a part of that was because they didn't really have the pace to beat us down the wings. They had Foden and Silva, who are absolute world-class players, but getting in behind a high line with pace, they're not the players to do that, really. Tonight, Arsenal had Bukayo Saka and Martinelli, right? Now, I'm not one for bigging myself up, okay? I'm not a person who sits down and looks in the mirror and says, you know what you're talking about, right? I do this because I find it fun and I love interacting with fellow Villa fans. And because I just enjoy it. I just love Villa and I love chatting about it. But I will say this. Before the City game, I said those transitions into Bailey against Gvardiol might cause problems, and it did. Might cause problems, and it did. Tonight, I said Arsenal, the way they play, those wingers, double up on them, Saka and Martinelli. And then with Saka, that Ben White overlap and underlap, that's going to cause problems. And that triangle with Odegaard, don't let them play. Just double up on them, get on Odegaard quick. And then, when the chance comes, Zinchenko is going to pull forward as that inverted fullback, like he did last season at Villa, causes tons of problems. He's going to pull forward, and if we get the chance, hit that area. Within 10 minutes, Aston Villa get the ball, play it forward, comes to Bailey, lays it off to Kamara. Kamara into Tielemans. Tielemans back to Bailey. And Leon Bailey. Every little thing is going to be all right. Don't worry about a thing because Leon Bailey's playing on the wing. Bob Marley, Jamaican legend. Leon Bailey, in my mind right now, what a turnaround. What a turnaround for a player who I had fully lost faith in. He has been. Do you know what? I mean, for Christmas, someone buy me a Jamaica shirt with his name on it. I'm getting a tattoo of his goal against City on my face. I'm getting a tattoo of his assist on my face. Because, my goodness, to get into that position behind Zinchenko, to run at Saliba or Gabriel, whichever one it was, and to pull it back, Ben White loses McGinn for one solitary second. And the booty, that John McGinn booty, that Hadrian's Wall of an arse, brave arse himself, getting that goal. This man scoring one of maybe the best goal in Villa history with that volley against Sheffield Wednesday. That man who's been with us, bargained by during the Steve Bruce years. That man who got us through the Championship. The man who stayed with us through thick and thin. That man who's had so many iconic moments. The man who scored in the playoff final. This man who turns up to every game at home and is a 10 out of 10 performance every single game. If ever a statue was being built, it could have been Grealish. It could have been him. John McGinn, that Hadrian's Wall of an arse you've got, nothing's getting past it. John McGinn is a player who is very easy to look at and think he's all hustle and bustle. John McGinn, and I say this every single time, is an Alex Ferguson era Manchester United player. Look at those losers up at Old Trafford today getting battered by Bournemouth 3-0. And do you know why they get battered? It's because they got a terrible ownership. They got a manager who's just, every time they bring a new manager in, they're coming in to deal with a useless ownership, a useless director of football, a bunch of players who don't care, who don't have the attitude of a John McGinn. And when Alex Ferguson was there, he would sign players like John McGinn because not only did they have hustle and bustle, but they had fecking talent. And that is what John McGinn has in defence and going forward. And we saw it tonight. He runs forward into the box at the exact right time, pulls away from his marker in Ben White, finds that moment, turns, goal. Now, Aston Villa, naturally, after you take that early lead, they started to sit back, right? Okay. I think that's the natural inclination of a team when you take an early lead, to sit back. And Arsenal, who I think are the best team in the Premier League outside of Villa, and I include Liverpool and City in that. I think right now in form, Arsenal are the best team. Arsenal took possession, and that involved Zinchenko coming forward, Declan Rice having a lot of possession, and the two of them interchanging. But how many chances did Arsenal actually have? How many clear-cut chances did Arsenal actually create? And do you know what this turned into? This turned into a classic Unai Emery defensive masterclass. Emery has evolved as a coach, right? When I started watching Valencia and La Liga many, many years ago, and I used to watch Barcelona every single week, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, because I was obsessed with them, because I thought they played the best football I've ever seen to this day, outside of Villa. The best football I've ever seen. But in that era, when Barcelona and Real Madrid were so far ahead of everyone else in the world, Valencia were the only other team who could get close. And guess who managed them? Professor Unai Emery. And Unai Emery there at Sevilla, and maybe of Arsenal and at Villarreal as well. I always thought of Emery as a bit of a defensive coach, right? A little bit of a La Liga coach, a Serie A coach, actually, even though he's never managed in Italy. The team sort of takes an early lead and sits back and just withstands that pressure, right? But I sometimes think it maybe did him a disservice, because there'd be times when he could attack a team and didn't take that chance. Emery has evolved as a coach, and whether that involves Paco Ayesteren, whether that just involves that Emery is a genius, because he is, clearly. And he evolves because he's got like Alex Ferguson would do back in the day. Alex Ferguson didn't stay still. He always evolved. And a lot of great managers have not evolved correctly. Jose Mourinho got left on the wayside. Antonio Conte looks to me like a manager who looks a bit left behind. Emery has evolved. But today, we took that early lead. Fantastic work to get that goal down the right-hand side. But Emery had that team with that high line condensed together, and you felt like, oh, Arsenal's going to find a way in here. But they never quite did. They never could get a way in behind that high line. And the one chance they had in the first half that had me worried was Odegaard. And that is why we have the best goalkeeper in the world, because he dived down to his right and saved it. There is not another goalkeeper on the planet who would have saved that. It would have been 1-1, and then Arsenal keep pushing and get a 2-1 win. Emi Martinez saves that because he's the best goalkeeper in the world, because he won the Aston Award. What the hell more does this man need to prove to this bloody public in the UK? Everyone else knows it, but over here it's always Alisson, Edison, and Emi Martinez. He didn't really deserve that. If you listen to wider football podcasts, well, guess what? He deserved it because he won the World Cup, and Lionel Messi is now the best player in the world forever, of all time. And the question was, can he win the World Cup? Well, Emi Martinez wins, and he doesn't just win the World Cup, he wins Copa America. And they're probably going to win Copa America next time as well because of Emi Martinez. Honestly, it was a defensive masterclass. It felt like Arsenal had all the ball, and they did. But let me just tell you a stat here. Right? Aston Villa, just get the stats up right now. shots in this game. Arsenal had 12 shots, 5 on target. Aston Villa had 10 shots, 3 on target. And quite easily in the second half, we had 2 chances. Luca Dean had one, saved by Raya, well saved. And another one that Diaby pulled across to Watkins. And that could have been 2-0. That's what we were doing. Soak that pressure up and just find that second goal on the break. Arsenal had 61% possession. Villa had 39. And it did, to be honest, it did feel like Arsenal's goal was going to come. But then at the same time, it didn't feel like it. Because they didn't craft clear-cut opportunities. Because Diego Carlos, my goodness. My goodness. Diego Carlos was out for a year. And you're wondering, can he play 3 games in 5 days? He goes to Bournemouth, full-on game for 90 minutes. Plays Man City, full-on game for 90 minutes. Tonight, Gabriel Jesus, he's looking around. He's looking around, looking for but he's looking for, I don't know. He's going to go to bed tonight, but like that, he's going to wake up in the middle of the night going, because his wife or his girlfriend or whoever, or his partner, or whatever, going to put their arm around him. He's going to, like that. And do you know why? Because he's going to be like, he's going to think Diego Carlos is there. Whether Gabriel Jesus walks in future, he's going to be like, because he thinks Diego Carlos is on him. Carlos, 10 out of 10. Now, Arsenal, their press in the first half, well, throughout the game, was amazing. Arsenal are a fantastic team, brilliantly coached by another Basque coach. Why are there so many amazing coaches coming from the Basque country right now? Iraola, Xabi Alonso, Arteta, Unai Emery, others as well. But their press was phenomenal. They did not give us any time, no comfort on the ball, and they would not let Pau Torres have time on the ball. And that was key for them. Because if you let Pau Torres have that ball, you'll find a pass. Tonight, Pau Torres had to really work to hold on to that ball. Because I think it was Odegaard would push onto him. And then he'd try and play it out, and there'd be 2 players straight on Carlos and Kamara. On Luis and Kamara, sorry. So it was very, very difficult. But what Villa actually tried to do was we went quite direct to Watkins against Saliba quite a lot. I'd love to know what the reason was for that. But it worked a few times. But other occasions, it felt a little bit like, I think we were just trying to win that ball, lay it off, and then maybe we can get a counter off it. But Professor Unai and Paco Ayestaren and all the data guys and all that, and clearly seen something there. But I thought Arsenal's press throughout the game was fantastic. They're a brilliant team. They're going to keep pushing at the top of the league. I think full credit to them, full credit to Mikel Arteta. Now, obviously, Arsenal are going to complain about that disallowed goal in injury time. I think if it went against Villa, I'd be very, very annoyed. But the truth is, it did connect with... it did... Oh, there's a lot of Arsenal fans, I think, watching this who are not happy. Don't worry about a thing, because Leon Bailey's playing on the wing. Calm down. It did hit Kai Havertz's hand. It did. It did. It did. So, look. Every now and again, you ride your luck. I think we did in that moment. I think it did just Jared Gillett. And I think if that goal had gone in and Gillett hadn't blown his whistle, I don't think VAR turns it over. But Gillett gave it. It's one of them. It's 50-50. And do you know what? Do you know what my answer is? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Because Aston Villa have won 15 games in a row at home. It was a fantastic defensive masterclass. Defend from the front, but that mid-block, Saka, Martinelli, they just couldn't impact the game in the way they want. They couldn't do it. Dean, Moreno, Dendonka when he came on, Moussa Diaby when he came on, Leon Bailey, Ollie Watkins, John McGinn. We've beaten Man City and Arsenal within 3 days of each other. Barely a week after beating Warsaw in a must-win game in Europe. and beating Tottenham away 2-1. We're third in the Premier League. Third in the Premier League. We are 5 clear of City in fourth. We are. Let me just get the league up. But I mean, I mean, look. Hey, look. I'm just trying to gather myself here. We're 8 points clear of Tottenham in fifth. We're 8 points clear of Manchester United. We're 9 points clear of Newcastle. I mean, not only can we win the league, but to think of that Champions League team playing at Villa Park next season. I mean, why would you think Villa would lose form? Normally we get to February and we lose away, but what a team. I love this football team. It was an incredible defensive display. And it was an incredible display in the sense that we have used up so much energy in the last 2 weeks. And still, we were smart enough and intelligent enough to conserve our energy tonight and just work away through that game and get that early goal. We didn't get it against City and we could have paid the price, but we got it tonight. And we took that form from City and took it into that first 10 minutes. Amazing. Don't worry about a thing because Leon Bailey is running down the wing. I will credit my co-writer with that. But my God, Aston Villa, what a team. I love this club. Please subscribe. Up the mighty Villa.